Hi, fourth grade. Welcome to lesson 5 over westward expansion. We are almost to the end of our unit, so I'm hoping you're excited about this. Today, we're going to be learning about why people wanted to move out to the west and how they traveled there. We know we will be successful when we can explain how people traveled to the west, how the United States gained more land, and the reasons people wanted to move to the west. Our key vocabulary for today is a telegraph. It's a device or system for sending messages over long distances. It uses code or electrical wires by signals sent by wire. The telegraph, it sounds very close to the telephone. I'm going to show you guys a video about this later too after we explain how communication traveled back then. Okay, Pathway to the Pacific, Chapter 5. In the mid 1800s, the United States continued to claim land in the West. Settlers did so for many reasons. The West offered cheap, sometimes free land. It was a place where religion could be practiced freely. Once gold was discovered in California, it also became a place to get rich. Many businesses and inventions resulted from the growing West and settlers' needs for faster ways to communicate and travel. And down here, it says in 1849, $10 million in gold was discovered in California. And up here, it says in 1848, gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill in Colima, California. Thousands of people poured into the area hoping to get rich. Your very first journal question is actually going to be from this page, so I'm going to move myself. And it says, why did people want to move out west? So you're going to want to pause here on this page. It gives you a few different reasons. So pause here, answer, why did people want to move out west? What was their reasoning? And here we will move on. The Oregon Trail. Between 1841 and 1860, about 300,000 people traveled west from Missouri to Oregon country. Also, ding, 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 that was one of your true false questions. So make sure you go back, note that down so you guys can figure out which one was true, which one was false. They traveled along a route called the Oregon Trail in a covered wagon. The journey took between 4 and 6 months. Some people rode horses, but most walked the entire way. Along the route, travelers faced disease, attacks by Native Americans, harsh weather, and shortages of flood and water. I cannot imagine walking every day for miles and miles for 4 to 6 months. Oh my goodness. Up here, our caption says pioneers crossed prairies, deserts, rivers, and mountains as they traveled on the Oregon Trail. So it was not easy to be on this Oregon Trail and traveling across the United States. We think it's hard in car. The U.S. Mexican War. In 1845, the Republic of Texas became a U.S. state. However, Mexico believed it still controlled Texas. Mexico and the United States went to war over Texas the next year. The war ended in 1848, and the two countries signed an agreement. The United States paid Mexico $15 million. Mexico gave up what are now California, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Texas, and parts of what are now Wyoming, Nebraska, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Colorado. That is a lot of states that we gained. The $15 million paid to Mexico would be worth about $313 million today. So just to know how much we truly paid for all of that land, $15 million is still a lot, but today, $313 million. Down here, our caption for this picture says, after paying for the land, the United States gained more than 900,000 square miles, more than 2 million square kilometers of territory from Mexico. So we gained a huge amount of land from them through this war. Freedom of religion. In 1844, Joseph Smith, the leader of a religious group called the Mormons, was killed by people who did not agree with his religion. Brigham Young became the group's new leader. In 1846, Young led 5,000 Mormons on a long journey west from Missouri to what is now Utah. The Mormons went along hoping they could practice their religion freely in their new home. Down here it says, the Mormons founded Salt Lake City, Utah. That's a big city now. So it says Brigham Young led the Mormons to Utah, where they built farms, schools, businesses, and stores. Okay, and here's where our vocab word is going to come into play. The Pony Express. From April of 1860 to October of 1861, the Pony Express delivered mail between Missouri and California. Men on horseback carried the mail 2,000 miles in just 8 days. Before the Pony Express, it took several weeks for mail to be delivered by stagecoach, which is a horse-drawn carriage. Once the transcontinental telegraph line was completed, messages could be sent very quickly, and the Pony Express was no longer needed. Soon, trains also began carrying mail across the country. And our caption down here says, a Pony Express rider leaves a general store that serves as a station along a Pony Express route. And here I have just a quick little video about the Pony Express. Oh.
In January 1830, the quickest way to send a letter from St. Louis, Missouri to Sacramento, California was by stagecoach. It took 25 days. Then 3 men by the names of William Russell, Alexander Majors, and William Waddell came up with the idea to send mail by horseback non-stop from St. Louis to Sacramento. They called this new business the Pony Express. The Pony Express hired riders who were young, strong, brave horsemen. These riders would stop every 10 to 15 miles to get a fresh horse and every 50 to 75 miles to change riders. The Pony Express riders carried with them a mail bag called a mochila, which had 4 pouches filled with mail. The first Pony Express mail bag with its horse and rider left St. Louis on April 3, 1860, traveled 2,000 miles, and arrived in Sacramento 11 days later. Never before had mail been delivered from east to west so quickly. But the Pony Express only lasted 18 months. Telegraph wires made their way across the frontier from St. Louis to San Francisco. The first telegraphed message was sent on October 24, 1861, and arrived in minutes, not days. The Pony Express stopped making its runs 2 days later, but Pony Express riders are remembered as some of the brave men who helped tame the western frontier.
And I always think that that part is just so interesting, learning about the differences. So your guys' journal question for today, the second question, is how are the Pony Express and the telegraph different from how we receive mail or other communication today? Communication has changed so much. We can talk to people very quickly. So you're going to write about the difference between how people talked anywhere from across the United States to the difference that we have now. So that's what you're going to be writing about. So thank you so much, 4th grade. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you next time.